To get the clear protein, what they do is they subject it to hydrochloric acid essentially, with the digestive enzymes, which break it down much, much more severe, and then they heat it up too, because the heating up makes it happen faster and more efficiently. I'm Dave Palumbo, founder of Species Nutrition. From my earliest bodybuilding days, I believed in only putting the best in my body, and that lives on in the Species Nutrition line of products. I put my name and reputation on every bottle of Species Nutrition products. If you want to be your absolute best, join the evolution. Dave Palumbo here with a supplement and science review. I want to talk about protein today. I want to talk about Clear Whey protein isolate. You might have been seeing this coming out more and more lately. People are selling what they call Clear Whey isolate, which is exactly what it's described as. You mix it in water and it turns clear. It doesn't have a white powdery look to it like a typical whey protein shake would. And a lot of people saying, is this stuff good? They're touting it as the next great thing. It's purer, it's clearer, it mixes better. And what do you think about it, Dave? And I gotta be honest with you, I did some research on it because I really wasn't sure what was going on and how they were producing it. So, sometimes I don't know things too, and I have to educate myself. Obviously, I understand the science of whey proteins and how they make them and everything like that, but I didn't really know what the process was. The process of Clear protein is what they do is they take a whey isolate, and they can do this with whey concentrate too. Remember, whey concentrates and low-grade whey isolates have lactose in them, okay? But the highest quality whey isolates have the least amount of lactose in them because they're filtered. They're cold filtered, they use cold filtration, and they get rid of the lactose because of that. Years ago, they used to use an electricity method called ion exchange whey protein, and they would separate it by electrical charge. Nowadays, they use cold filtration. And if you remember back in the day, one of the big, taglines was cold filtered. They filtered the protein under cold, cool conditions. They never heated the protein up. They never subjected it to acid. Also, that was another one, non-acid washed. These were very key phrases that they used specifically when we put them on the containers of protein to let people know that the protein was filtered in cool situation so that the protein would not become denatured or damaged, okay? And I'm gonna tell you in a minute why that's important. Clear protein, okay, or clear whey protein, what they do is they take whey isolate, most of the time it's an isolate they use, and they subject it to acids, like your stomach acids, and heat to denature the protein and make it basically digest, essentially, almost the same way your body would do in the digestive tract. And they turn it to this like mush, which is basically a hydrolysate, and it becomes clear when they do that. And there's two problems with that. Number one, well, there's one good thing about it. It mixes very easily in water, right? So you can mix it in water. It almost looks like clear water. If you remember the old, I don't even know if they still have them, they had the pre-mixed isopures. They were like fruity flavors. They kind of tasted pretty gross, but you can buy them, usually they were in glass bottles and they would be in the drink section of your gym. And we used to drink those back in the day. And I don't think anyone ever knew how they made them, but this is what they did. They just took whey isolate, they digested it with, and they subjected it to acids and to heat. And that denatured it. It made the protein go clear, and it mixed better and it solubilized better in water. And then they would add like fruity flavors to them, and they would make, whey isolate, in a pre-mixed drink. Here's the problem. It does mix better, it looks clear, it tastes terrible. All hydrolysates, and if you ever heard of the term whey protein hydrolysate, what they do, the way they make that is they take a whey protein isolate, I should say, and they subject it to digestive enzymes, and they can break down the protein into smaller pieces, essentially. When they do that, though, it destroys the taste of the protein. It makes it taste very acidic, very acid. and it has almost like a battery-like, acid taste to it. And then they have to try to flavor it. It's impossible to flavor it with chocolate, vanilla, or something that it tastes horrible. So most hydrolyzed proteins that you would mix, like normal whey protein isolates, are only 10% hydrolyzed, because if you go more than 10%, it ruins the taste. We have 10% in isolyze, So we have some hydrolysis in there, but it's mostly, and this is just adding digestive enzymes, doing nothing else. We're not talking about the clear protein. So it's still gonna look white. It's gonna, it's just, you're breaking down the pieces of the whey isolate into smaller pieces, smaller chunks. If you do 100% isolate, you can't flavor it. It tastes horrible. No one will drink it. I mean, there might be some out there, but it's absolutely horrendous tasting. Okay? Now, to get the clear protein, what they do is they subject it to hydrochloric acid essentially, with the digestive enzymes, which break it down much, much more severe, and then they heat it up too, because the heating up makes it happen faster and more efficiently. Number one, by heating protein and by subjecting it to extreme acids, you damage the immunoglobulins that are in the protein. So whey protein, while it's a protein, it also has intact immunoglobulins, which are molecules, peptides essentially, that help stimulate your immune system in a positive way. IgG, immunoglobulin G specifically, is in there in high amounts. And that's why whey protein is good for your immune system. It supposedly, helps you, avoid getting viruses and bacterial infections. And, a lot of times, at least I know in my protein, you'll see contains, high amounts of immunoglobulins, lactoferrins, and other ones. These are just peptides that are naturally found in milk proteins that remain intact, because when you filter whey isolate or whey protein concentrate, when you filter it under cold conditions and in the absence of acids, you preserve these immunoglobulins and all these great things that occur in there. So if you have a clear protein, you're damaging and destroying, denaturing. Denaturing means unwinding these proteins and making them basically useless. So while the protein itself is still in amino acid form, and you're still able to use that to build, and repair muscle, you're losing some of the health benefits of whey isolate. So personally, I will never probably do a clear protein, because I just don't see the benefits of it. It doesn't taste good. You're damaging all the good health benefits of the whey isolate itself. And personally, I think a lot of people like a whey protein isolate, because it has a very neutral taste. You can flavor it well. I know we flavor our isolyze, we have 8 different flavors, 9 if you include pumpkin spice, and people love it. And there's nothing I need to do to it to make it better than that. There's nothing I can do to it. I use the highest grade whey isolate that money can buy. That's why we get 28 grams of protein, extracted from a 33 gram serving size. And to me, it doesn't, whether it's clear or white, it doesn't really matter, Once again, if you make a clear protein, you cannot flavor it with chocolate and vanilla, because it tastes terrible. That's why you'll see fruity flavors usually being used in these clear proteins, because the fruit kind of hides the acid taste. And that's, that's been done for years, Anything time something has a little bit of an acidity, even the pre-workouts. Most pre-workouts are not vanilla and chocolate. I don't think I've ever seen any, because you can't disguise the chemical taste of all the compounds that are in there, beta-alanine and citrulline and all the other neurostimulatory compounds that are in there. They taste terrible, so you got to give it like a fruity or a sour fruity taste, and that hides that way better. Same thing with clear protein, because of the acidity and the denaturing of the proteins and that high amount of hydrolysis in there, you got to hide that flavor. So another drawback is that the clear proteins are more expensive, because you have to process the stuff a lot more. So in summation, can you use a clear protein? There's nothing wrong with it, I guess. I personally, if I'm advocating, but if I thought clear protein was superior to whey isolate out there, or to what I'm producing, I would make it, because I always believe in the best of the best. But to me, there's no benefit of it. I think using a 10% hydrolysis, 90% whey isolate of the highest, filtration or extraction, method, which is what we do at Species Nutrition with our isolate protein, is the best that you can do. It's the best tasting. It preserves all the immunoglobulins, the lactoferrins, and all the peptides in there. And this way you can get the benefits of that. Your gut gets the benefits of that. Once again, it's more cost effective. Whey protein is already through the roof. That's why if you see these clear proteins, most of the time they're very small. Like they sell them in 1 pound containers or satchels. It's usually, done in like stores. You'll see it like in Target or something like that. Very small amounts for a lot of money. And so, once again, the financial aspect of it is a big, big deal too. Because if you charge too much for something, it doesn't even matter if it's a better protein. No one's going to buy it. And that's just the way it goes. I've produced products in the past that were years ahead of what's out there. And there was some really great protein. I made a ketogenic protein where it was whey isolate sprayed with macadamia nut oil, dry sprayed on there. It was like a pure keto product. It was delicious tasting. It was about 50 grams of protein and 15 grams of like fat, all coming from macadamia nut oil. And you know what? I couldn't put it out. It was too expensive. It cost me so much. If I would have charged people what I needed to charge them to make a decent profit on it, no one would buy it. Even though it was the best product out there, I wouldn't sell enough of it to make enough money. So also you have to consider price. But once again, if you look at all aspects of what the best of the best is, preservation of immunoglobulins and peptides in the whey, taste, mixability. Whey isolate mixes tremendously well, just as well as clear protein. Yeah, it doesn't turn clear, but you can flavor it with chocolate, vanilla, peanut butter, all those good flavors we love. It just outweighs, no pun intended, the clear protein process, which is high acids, high heat, denaturing those peptides and immunoglobulins in there, high cost, and not being able to flavor it with anything other than fruit. So there's my opinion on clear protein. Let me know what your comments are below. I'm always open to people's. This might be a good debate show. Clear protein versus whey isolate. White versus clear. Who wins? Dave Palumbo with an RxMuscle supplement and science review.